Nice shit, Semler. Definitely copied me.
No, I look out the hall this morning. Yeah, thanks. I
You
look out the hall. No.
pulled him off the camera.
I look out the hall this morning. I crack my door open and I see you walking by. And you got like, you got the lumberjack shirt. So I was like, I know what to do today.
Well,
I can't wear black.
I
have to wear something.
At least you admit you copied
There you go.
me.
There you go.
So that's fine. So, as we mentioned, the grand finals is about to be happening. 8 players boiled down to 2. If you look at the entire qualifiers, there's been hundreds of players boiled down to 2 here, and it will be Zerg. This is a grand finals, best of 5. Aliens versus aliens, bugs versus bugs.
Yep.
Infested Terrans versus infested Terrans.
Zombies everywhere.
Zombies everywhere.
Well, actually with Snute. But yeah.
That's right. So if we look at the 2 of the players, if you think about it, Snute's been playing a very unique style, not just this tournament, for the past couple of months now. And actually, he described it a lot. At the start of the year, he was not a very good player. He was just streaming, getting a couple of wins versus a couple of good players here and there on the ladder. But through his year, he's progressed to be a good player. You know, started playing DreamHacks. Most importantly, he lives in Norway. DreamHacks in Sweden makes a lot of sense. The 3 DreamHacks he entered were all in Sweden. He didn't travel to Valencia or Bucharest. He went to the DreamHack Stockholm Open, which is the tournament that THOR won, got to the round of 64. He then went to DreamHack Summer, got round of 32, and in the most recent DreamHack Winter, got to the quarterfinals. So just a natural progression of increased results. And that's basically how he described his year. But on the other hand, Vortix has just considerably been an amazing player. At the start of the year, he was a top Zerg. At the end of the year, he's still a top Zerg.
He always has been. And also, James brought it up in the interview. The thing is that Vortix also had Lucifron there to train with and also to motivate him to do well. And so when you have that kind of support, especially from your brother, it just really forces you to show your best games and to really work hard at it. But, you can't walk over the fact that Snute is one of the hardest working European players out there. He's been streaming tons, but also training tons and hitting a lot of other tournaments. Not only DreamHacks, but he was at Home Story Cup, for example, and he also spent some time in Korea. So, I mean, this is a guy who's put a lot of work in to get where he's at. And it's not just like, oh, lol, patch Zerg or whatever. Screw that shit. He is a top-notch Zerg player out there right now. So it's going to be a fantastic grand finals, and I'm definitely really excited to see it.
Yep, so far Vortix within this tournament hasn't dropped a single map. That's how good he's been playing here, and including a 2-0 victory over Snute in Group A. Snute definitely knows that Vortix has the capability to beat him, but on the other hand, Snute, as mentioned, did beat a GSL champion within StarTale Live just last week in IPL 5. He showed an excellent Zerg versus Zerg yesterday against Nurtio 2, so I'm feeling that he definitely is going to be feeling confident despite having lost versus Vortix in Group A here.
Just after watching the interview though, I'm definitely looking forward to it, but I'm hoping that he did look a little nervous, a little reserved there. I don't know if he's just trying to maintain that killer instinct or if he was just a little bit nervous by the interview, but I definitely hope to see the best out of him. Seeing as how this is a grand finals for him, and we were talking about this yesterday a lot, it's that he's still looking to prove himself by taking a title. And so, Vortix, he's done very well throughout the year. He's had some very high finishes, etc. But, Snute is definitely looking to prove himself going forward here. So, we'll see if that plays into it or if he can keep that, kind of killer mind instinct. But, it's definitely going to be interesting.
That's right. And remember that James did mention, Tuga did mention the difference between prize money between second and first place. $3,000 for second place, $15,000 for first place. A massive difference between first and second place. Don't think neither of these players are going to be really thinking about it that much as they did describe it. It's important, but it's not the priority set number 1. It's all about performing well enough in this best of 5 to actually beat down their opponent.
And right now the players are getting ready. They are actually, from what I understand, they're sitting side by side, and so they had to put up a wall between the 2 of them so that they can't actually see anything, but there was a vent or something like that cooling their hands off. And that's actually kind of cool. I saw Snute, he was actually wearing his gloves and rubbing his hands, making sure that he doesn't lose the flexibility and speed of his fingers, because as soon as they cool down, that's it. So glad to see that he's
stay warm.
Yeah, he's keeping the mindset, and he's also making sure that his body's up to snuff as well, because definitely very demanding, especially in the finals. You got the stress, you have the added adrenaline and stress just from being in the finals. So if your body is cold or you're not warmed up, it's definitely going to play into it. So I'm glad to see that Snute's taking care of himself and really looking pretty sharp here.
Yeah, that's right. And the third and fourth place match will not be on this stream. It will be broadcasted at the same time, but off stream. So, unfortunately, Bishi versus Nurcho will not be covered. That is the rematch of the game we did cover yesterday, where Nurcho relatively easily won 2-0. We're just going to be focusing on the single StarCraft game here. And then as soon as we're done with this best of 5 finals, CSGO will be happening on this stream. This stream will be the main stream throughout the entire of the day, which involves CSGO, Dota 2, immediately after each other for the day to keep you guys entertained for the entire of the day for your esports needs.
Yes, and I believe we have No Tidehunter playing versus Pulse right now in the first semifinal for Dota 2. That's happening right now. And CSGO, I'm not exactly sure who's playing it out or if they are already ready to go. But I know that they're out there. I was walking through the player area, and all the players are there and getting warmed up and ready to go. So, I mean, yeah, CSGO will definitely be following this. This is a best of 5, by the way, so it should take about an hour, hour and a half, depending on how the matches unfold. But both of these guys are out for blood. It's going to be really interesting to see. And Snute, with his cutthroat timings that we saw yesterday, especially emphasizing those roach timings, really trying to get in there and nail his opponent at a specific time just to kill him before he can be ready, we can be really expecting some very sharp play from him.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, if you think about the 2 players that we're actually going to be looking at now within this grand finals, Vortix and Snute both play a different style. I mean, Vortix plays a very Roach Infestor style, very positionally based, but then Snute plays a upgrade heavy, Roach heavy, a lot faster Hydras. And that's how we're going to really see this kind of unfold. And there are 2 finalists right here. Of course, Vortix on the left, the 19-year-old from Spain. Both of them are 19. Yeah. And Snute, 19 years old from Norway, play a different style of Zerg versus Zerg. Play a different style of Zerg in general here. And we're going to have to see which one's going to be the champion of the THOR Open, of course, organized here by CDON and Fragbite, with their amount of sponsors that they have here as well that are behind us: Intel, Dell, Corsair, Fractal Design, and a couple of others as well.
It's really cool to see that picture of Snute. He just looks so happy to be here. You can tell in the interview, too. Very smiley cat. So it's good to see. It's good to see him in high spirits, especially the picture. Vortix, though, looking a little nervous there. I wonder if that's maybe a sign or something.
Well, I don't think we can tell who's nervous by a static image, Samuel, but we could tell who is nervous by the interviews. And to be honest, I read chat and I agree that Snute was seeming to be the little bit nervous or more nervous player. If you think about Snute's progression as a player, yes, he's performed well throughout tournaments, but he hasn't really been to a finals yet. This is his really big finals. On the other hand, Vortix finished 2nd place in the WCS Europe Finals against Stefano. He's played on a big stage. He's played in front of thousands of Swedish people. We are once again live from Stockholm. There isn't a massive audience here. It is more of a studio-based tournament. So the pressure won't be there, but definitely the experience of being in the Grand Finals, knowing how to play out a Zerg versus Zerg in a Grand Finals as well, is different to playing it out in the early stages. The mind games are going to become very important, because if you feel a weakness that your opponent is thinking, well, you know, he's not performing very well here, then you can exploit that. And I think we're going to see a lot of that throughout this series. And as we draw closer to this series beginning, unfortunately, we had to have Snute change his PC just to make sure that everything was right. And as you mentioned, both of the players are warming up, and we will begin this best of 5 in a couple of moments' time.
There was actually an air vent that was over one of the PCs, so it was actually, I think that's possibly why Snute was wearing his gloves, because apparently his hands were getting cold when he was warming up. So they had to go ahead and change things around. Not too big of an issue, but you're absolutely right. It really is going to come down to who has the killer instinct going into this. And both of these players have displayed that they have it. So to get this far, they made it to the finals. They had to show that they have the minerals to get there. So both of these guys definitely, going to be in ship-shape form. Although we will see here as things are getting, they're moving along. We're keeping an eye on the chat and keeping an eye with the admins, and things are getting all right for the time being.
That's right, and I'm definitely feeling that we're going to have to see some open battle victories here for Snute if he's going to play his Roach Hydra play. We saw him play yesterday, and he was looking pretty dominant against Nurcho, was using position to his advantage. If you remember, and if you did join us yesterday for the games, on Shakira's Plateau was probably the biggest game, in my opinion, of how Snute displayed his strength. He attacked with 2+2 attack on his Roach and Hydras, and also +2 carapace, and came from 3 different angles and pincered Nurcho into one solid block in the middle, where only a minimal amount of infestors, because when you focus on heavy upgrades play, which Snute does, and also very heavy and early Hydras, is that you don't really invest much in infestors. I think he had maybe 2 to 3 in his army composition, but those are the only 2 to 3 that were needed to clamp down on Nurcho's army for the swarm of Snute's forces.
Exactly right, and we saw the same thing on Cloud Kingdom as well. That's why I mentioned, you know, Cutthroat is that Snute, the same thing. He knows Nurchio's play style, and he knows that Nurchio favors that sort of infestor play. He's looking to get the roaches, the initial roaches out so he doesn't die randomly, but then he's looking to transition into those infestors for that mid to late game. And so Snute, he crafts a build to kill that and hits it right on the nose. He comes with just enough roaches where, sure, you have a couple fungals, but it's not going to be enough to stop him. He just swarms you over in true bug style and gets in there for the kill. So we've seen that he can demonstrate, you know, very solid, resilient play. 2-0's Nurchio, who is no slouch, known as a Zerg specialist. So for him to come out on top in a matchup like that, he's definitely got a good chance going into the finals today.
Absolutely, and to be honest, Vortix, despite the way that Snute played yesterday, was able to beat him down 2-0. And as mentioned, Vortix hasn't lost a game so far this entire tournament. And he was using Infestors incredibly well, positionally based, was coming at the right angles, he was using the right amount of Infestor Terrans in ratio to the amount of fungal growth, and made Snute look like a bit of a bad player. Even though Snute, in one game, if you remember, on Daybreak, was winning and leading, Vortix caught an opportunity to pull the game back and was able to win 2-0. And with that playstyle that we saw from Vortix, I'm sure he's feeling very confident in trying to do the same again here. But this is a best of 5. It's a bit different to best of 3. Words are they are doing vetoes as well right now. The first veto to be eliminated, guess what? Tal'Darim Ulta is the first veto.
We don't want to see any one-base banelings or anything of the sort here. They want to get that out as quickly as possible. It's kind of funny, though. Remember how In Control, he was hosting one of the events, and he spoke about Tal'Darim saying, you know, oh, it's that map, you know, it's kind of like playing chicken. You're looking at it. You're like, do I want to veto it? Do I not want to veto it? Is he going to veto it? Blah, blah, blah. Snute not cutting any corners, gets Tal'Darim right out, right off the bat.
That's right.
So now we'll see exactly who, excuse me, what Vortix decides to do. If he's going to go for...
Come on, Sam, we'll keep talking.
Yeah, no, if he's going to go for... Are you not... So... So, we'll see what Vortix decides to do.
You guys are so unprofessional, all right?
Dude, this is Sweden. We do what we want. They're Vikings. Oh, okay.
Oh, you're so fail.
So...
Come on, keep your train of thought, Sam. We'll keep going, keep killing time.
Get the fuck out of here. All right, so we're doing our thing here as we're waiting for Snute and Vortix to get rid of the bans. As we already said, Tal'Darim's been nixed. It's been taken out of the map. Now we're waiting on Vortix to make his call as far as what he wants to do. Probably going to take Shakuris out, I'd imagine, seeing as how that's such an old map from the very beginning of StarCraft 2 and has been played on so much. But it's a little funky. Not a lot of great things can happen on it. So maybe he's going to want to take that out and try and leave one of the more resilient, stable maps such as Daybreak or Cloud Kingdom to really, you know, hit this off on, get this started. But this is a best of 5 series, as Apollo mentioned in the pregame chat, is that best of 5 changes a lot of your mindsets. Best of 3, you can go in, you can do a risky build or get ahead of your opponent with the first map and try and take some risks. But best of 5 really kind of opens it up. You can see a lot of broader strategies as far as, you know, taking those risks and still feeling okay to go forward into macro games or whatever. There's a lot less pressure in the sense that you can lose an extra game and not be out of it right off the bat. So now we have these going down, and it looks like actually, so Vortix is going to start off. He's going to take Cloud Kingdom out as his first veto, and Snute answers with Tal'Darim. So it would look like map 1 is going to be Daybreak for this series. So Daybreak, we're going to have Daybreak to start off as ZVZ between these two players already. That's going to be fairly good.
Yep, that's right. So Daybreak's going to be our first game. Then we'll be going over to Ohana as we now, having killed a bit of time while starting to develop what other actual maps we're going to be going into. So Daybreak, a great map to begin this best of 5. It's going to play out very similar to each other. They're going to play a very similar style. Ohana's going to be the map that's going to be the more dangerous game going into. That's the one that we're going to be seeing a bit of timing, 2-base timings. Some variety. Moodless could come into play. Infestors come into play. And then Antigua Shipyard is going to be game number 3. That's going to be very positionally based. So we're having 3 stories across these 3 maps. Number 1 is going to be identical macro play. Game 2 is going to be very dangerous timing focus. Game 3 is going to be positionally based. Shakuris Plateau is most likely going to be a Mutilus versus Infestor map. And then man number 5, if needed, is going to be Entombed Valley, which again is going to be a macro map going down to very similar to how Daybreak plays out. And we're into the first game here. And we're about to start.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this go. Excuse me. Daybreak to start things off especially. It's a bigger map, so we can see a little bit of a longer, drawn-out game as well. Not so much the aggressive play that we'll see on Ohana, no doubt. But both of these players have demonstrated that they obviously know all of these maps, and they have strategies to perform on all of these maps against each other. So it's really going to be quite interesting to see what they decide to pull out for us, especially for the first map in a best-of-5 series. As yeah, we're still just waiting for them to ready up as the countdown has begun. So that is it, guys. We're about to start the grand finals here at the THOR Open. Good times ahead.
That's right. So let's go ahead and begin game number 1 as we're jumping into it right now between Snute and Vortix. Who's going to walk away with a $15,000 first place prize? Second place still gets $3,000, which is still pretty good, but there is a difference between first and second, and we're about to find out who's going to get the first blow here on Daybreak.
So both of these guys done loading. We're about to get into the game. James, thank you. As he does a victory dance. And baller. All right, so we have these guys. It's a 2-position map as we can see here, 1v1. So one is going to spawn on the bottom left, one's going to spawn on the bottom right, or the top right. You guys are all familiar with that, I'm sure, unless you're tuning in from CSGO or something like that. You've been living under a rock. But still just waiting for these things to unfold here as finally we are loaded into the game, and we are going to get right into it. As we have here, the player cams have been adjusted, it looks like, so that's good. And now IDBC, our fantastic world's third best observer, is going to start us off in the top right of the map with our first Bug Zerg opponent, spawning as the Reg Zerg in the top right. It is, of course, Carante's Vortix. Nice, good cam. He's even got a crowd behind him. And spawning in the bottom left of Daybreak as our blue Zerg, playing for Gamers League for now at least, it is Snute.
That's right.
Hairy, intense, man.
Long hair guy. Just have a similar hairstyle myself. As we are now into Daybreak. A couple of people moving around behind him. Vortix with the headset from the Blizzard headset. I think it's called Banshee if I'm not mistaken. That changes color depending on how fast you play. And he's stuck at 1 level.
Yeah, he's burning red right now, man. He's gonna burn up, melt those keyboards.
I guess the color set doesn't work as he's changed it from 180 to 120 and it's stuck on red. I guess he didn't plug in both the USB cables.
He didn't plug them in, or he's just left it on red. Everybody watching is like, oh my god, he's so fast. Nothing really happening. All right, so already we have no deviation from these guys. They're both going pool first, actually. So identical builds for the time being, although you could see that Snute is just a hair ahead. Not really going to play out on this map, however, seeing as how it is so big. So most likely not going to see any kind of aggressive play coming from them, seeing as how it's such a long rush distance. And the Overlord placement is really going to be allowing these players to spot anything coming at them fairly early on. So definitely going to be seeing some form of, at least, you know, mid-game emphasis going into this.
That's right. Spawn and pull first is a good build to open up with best of 5 on here. I mean, the difference between spawn and pull and hatchery really isn't there, and well, they've done exactly the same. So obviously they agree with that. And we will be developing towards the middle stage of this game. What we'll start to see, or we need to start to see, is who's going to start to take the gas early on. We're already seeing Vortix getting a set of lings early on. Wants to get in there, scout out. As against a spawn and pull build, you actually can't get the Overlord that you'd want to check the gases with in the main base. And if you do, you risk it, which is what Vortix is doing. The Queen's about to pop very shortly here. Depending on how far he goes in there, he's going to risk it. Getting caught by that Queen. And he is going to get out there immediately. Looks like he's going to just about be okay. Likewise is Snute, but only checking 1 gas on the right-hand side, and he's going to go to the dead space.
Oh, it looks like Snute wants to make a play for it. Is he going to be able to get out there? I think this Overlord is going to be safe.
He's just sending it to the natural. So when you go spawn and pull first, you build 2 queens straight away.
Right.
And that's just going down. They're not really looking to get the queen, and these 2 lings from Vortix are going to get in there, potentially pick off a drone. If they get a drone, it's a win, as these usually lings are only really there for scouting. The drone kill is great. But there are going to be 2 queens out by the time they get there, as both players are actually going for 3 queen build here, which is okay.
That's interesting. They're going to have the queen, the extra queen, you know, creep spread, a little bit of tanking should any kind of baneling play come in. This is also something that Vortix does every match, pretty much. We've seen him just, you know, even if his opponent is skipping the drones, he almost always goes for these 2 lings just to get that additional scouting, and it's paying off right now. He's split them up already in Snute's main base, but already we see the deviation here, or no, not even. Both of them are going for identical 2-gas timings. So they're really just sticking to their guns. They've got the same kind of battle plan going into this.
That's right. Both of them open up very mineral heavy here. The difference between these 2 players, we do see Vortix going for a 4th queen compared to Snute, who's happy on 3 here. The 4th queen's going to offer a lot more creep spread. It's going to offer better defense as well. Snute hasn't seen anything here, though, as we just had the vision of Snute on Vortix's main base compared to Vortix, who had the lings in there. So that's the difference through building that early set of ling and not, because one player has a bit of vision and the other doesn't. That does obviously make things a little bit easier for Vortix, knowing that he doesn't need a rush defense out compared to Snute, who does, because he doesn't know what's going on. Therefore, we have the Roach Swarm coming down initially for Snute, who is playing blind here, compared to Vortix, who's feeling out the game a little bit better because of those initial 2 lings, is able to go straight towards the lair and straight towards double evolution chamber. And Vortix, surprisingly, is playing very similar to how we originally thought Snute would play with his double evolution chamber, matching fire with fire.
Exactly right, but the lair timing is pretty much similar for both of these guys, so should Vortix decide to throw down the Roach Warren, he is going to be in position to get that speed out fairly quickly. So far sticking on to, he does have all 4 gases, that is the thing here. Snute's sticking on 2, so Vortix is going to have a much higher gas income. We'll see what he decides to do with it as he does decide to throw down that Roach Warren. So it seems like it's both just different timings on different structures, but it should kind of even out to about the same thing, as both of these guys are going for the +1 air missile attack as well as carapace.
So the first player that builds roaches here, I mean, it depends if they get to 50 drones. If they start building roaches as they get to 50 drones, that's okay. But if they build roaches before that, they're obviously not getting the most of their economy, because on 2 bases you want to be at 50 drones. And both of these players right now are at 50 and 52, or 49 and 52, sorry, someone just built a structure. And now the roach production can begin, as well as the 3rd base. So in between, before the 3rd base is actually ready to be mined from, around 60 to 70%, as it takes about 30% time of a hatchery to build to get you drones down there. So within that time period, we're going to see roaches being built for safety reasons and just to spend the lava, and then in about 30 seconds or less than that, probably about 20 seconds time, we're going to see a massive influx of drones once again.
It's quite interesting to see how evenly matched these guys are. It's like they have their playbook in their heads and they're going through it, you know, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? And they wind up on pretty much the exact same thing. So definitely having studied each other yesterday, and after having faced each other yesterday, they have a good idea of what their opponent is up to, or what their opponent's strategy is most likely going to be. So these guys, you know, really kind of mapping each other out for the time being at least, but we already have one change here, and it looks like Snute is actually going to be the first one to pull the trigger and go for infestors.
Yep, he is going to go into the infestation pit a little bit earlier than Vortix, but not too much of a difference, as both of these players now within that 30-second mark are starting to build drones towards that 3rd base. They've identified that each of them are playing very similar, as they know what each other are doing. And now they're just looking to saturate that 3rd base and looking to jump between a range of 60 to 75 drones here, depending on when they stop, which is what we see from Snute already, is that he's stopped at 60 drones and he's building a lot of units compared to Vortix, who's going up to 64 and increasing that further with 5-6 more drones on the way. So now Snute's the one going to have the bigger army. So Vortix has to be very careful moving across there. Naturally, Vortix does not know that Snute has stopped producing drones, and that's something he's going to have to identify very shortly, otherwise he will have too small of an army.
He has to be a little bit careful here, yes, definitely. So 68 drones for Vortix, 60 for Snute, and this looks like it's pretty much where it's going to stay, as we have both upgrades. These guys really staying on top of those, not going to slip up, so they want +2/+2, and a nice little form of aggression here from Snute. If he snags this queen, that's not too bad, and it looks like he will be able to grab it, getting into a good position to get some drones as well. He has to be careful. He doesn't want to stack too many roaches here, as he's already trying to make his run out. Vortix managing to snipe a couple, so looks like Snute was willing to give these up. You know, he got the queen, so he's going to halt some production. He's going to put a stop to some production there, and also managed to snag a few drone kills. So dropping Vortix back down to around 65. So he was able to do a little bit of damage in the exchange for a couple of roaches, which he already had more of to begin with.
And a big supply block on Vortix. They're at 118. So Snute, with a combination of the supply block and also the queen being killed here, Snute takes a bit of a supply advantage. As well, the Infestors coming out, looks like they are building roughly about the same. 6 coming down for Vortix, 4 for Snute, as Snute was the one to begin units a little bit earlier, therefore he spent his gas a little bit faster. But overall, a relatively equal game, but Snute does have a bit of an advantage. And with that advantage, he's decided to take a 4th base here in the top left of the map.
And also, he was able to produce a few more drones while Vortix was forced to make roaches, etc. He was cranking out a few more drones. So these guys are now even, but Snute definitely got a little bit of an advantage going into this as he's continuing his roach production. They're both getting out their Infestors now, though, and these are going to be those mid-game casters that we've all grown to love. But now it's going to be a little bit risky going for an attack here in this choke because your units happen to clump up, and if they get clumped up, they can easily get snagged by a fungal and picked off by Vortix for pretty much free.
I do prefer Snute's overload spread on this map compared to Vortix. It's a little bit better. He does have more map vision aside from that single Overseer in the center of the map. But we do start to have the Infestors down, and it looks like a run by attempted here by Snute. Is looking for a queen here. I don't know if he's going to get the natural one. He may jump straight towards the main, see if he can get it or not. If he does, that's a win situation. Yeah,
and it looks like he will be able to snag it in time. The queen trying to leg it, but she's not going to make it.
Pick off.
And that is very nicely done there by Snute. And the thing is that he pulled his opponent's entire army almost. Oh, no, okay, so there was still a group on the third base. He's got to be careful. This is what I was talking about. He gets snagged. He loses 6 or 7 roaches for free here, only the cost of 1 fungal. And so this is the kind of thing that Snute has to be careful of because he had a supply advantage going into that. Immediately, Vortix jumps up. Of course, granted, at this point in time, not that big of a difference, but any little bit matters.
But we do have a faster 4th base and extractors for Snute here in the top left, and will increase his gas income a little bit better than his opponents, which means his Hydra count can be stronger here as the game goes on. Infestors coming down.
What's Snute doing? Snute! Okay.
Alright, well that was a mistake there. It looked like initially Snute was looking, as you can see, he's smiling even on the camera and in game, that was a big mistake, and that could have actually just cost him the game right here.
Yeah, because without those Infestors, look, Vortix isn't going to let that slip up. He's like, well, okay, now I can take this fight because I'm going to have fungals and you won't. I will have Infested Terrans and you won't. This is kind of a big deal. Although a great concave here for Snute, but he is absolutely going to have to back off and try and take this fight elsewhere, at least until those Infested Terrans wear out. But look at this, it just opens up his 4th base, so the advantage that he had going into this has now been negated. Vortix is going to take this free base and just get on out.
So, as we saw throughout this game, there was small little advantages in favor of Snute into a massive one for Vortix. But a great fungal by Snute from an Infestor that was walking with the army that popped out from that 4th base hatchery, and it looks like Snute's going to win this fight. And he will.
Giving it up. Why did he take that route? He could have gone around the top right and avoided that army completely. Instead, he manages to lose quite a few roaches for free there. Drops them nearly all the way down, 30 supply, and this is actually the window that Snute was looking for.
And if you think about it, despite losing that 4th base in the middle, Vortix is not mining from this 4th, so it's actually irrelevant right now. So they are 3 base versus 3 base, same income for now. There is a lot more money in the bank, though, for Vortix, who hasn't lost as much as Snute has through the previous engagements. And now we're starting to see the Hydras come into play. A little bit more in favor of Vortix at the moment, with 8 about to pop out. And we do see a Hive earlier on from Vortix, who is able to establish his 4th base, and he will be able to go towards 3-3 upgrades. A Hive also down for Snute too. And actually a little bit faster, sorry, for Snute over Vortix, but Snute really can't use the Hive for anything here because he lost his 4th base.
Because he lost those Infestors. This is a big issue, is that he has to reinvest gas into those Infestors to bring them back out on the map, whereas Vortix, he still has his original few. He's dropping Infested Terrans now, gets a nice fungal. Snute still has quite a big concave, though. He's able to get it, really get in there, and start hammering away, using that group of roaches on the right to really target down those Hydras, which is a big form of DPS here for Vortix, but still just not enough. The Infested Terrans plus the Infestors really playing a big card in this.
Yeah, defensive position heavily in favor of there for Vortix, who's going to slaughter every single one of these roaches from Snute. And now Snute down to a unit tab of 4 roaches and 3 Infestors. 1 roach, 3 Infestors, and 8 Hydras. Army supply almost doubled here for Vortix, 130 to 80, as it did start to climb up there as mentioned. And now heavily in favor. This game is leaning towards Vortix right now. Snute trying to upgrade +3. Well, I don't think he's going to be able to afford that, as Vortix definitely can, and still has a superior army and is looking to clamp out map number 1.
Yeah, and he should be able to take this handily. He's got the superior forces. He's going to be moving in from all sides here, all directions, managing to take out those Infestors as well. Nice micro here from Vortix, trying to pick off those valuable units, but at this point in time, it doesn't matter. He's already got a 50 supply lead. He had the bank. He's remaxing everything, and Snute, just one mistake cost him this game already. And
that's right.
That's pretty much it. Boils down to you lose those valuable units. That is it.
He knew it too, as he saw right at the end there. He just typed GG and just looked down at himself, and he knew that that one big mistake, there was small, delicate play from both sides within this game initially on Daybreak. As Snute was edging out, little fights here and there, picking off the queen on the third, getting into the main. But unfortunately, walking your Infestors, 7 Infestors, just cancels out everything, all the hard work he did in that game, and just gifted it over in favor of Vortix.
Having flashbacks to Life versus Flash, man. Like,
yeah,
it's the same thing where you're going, what is he doing? Does he see it? No, yeah. But I just hope that this isn't going to impact his game going forward, because making a mistake like that, you have to just be able to walk it off and be like, it happens. I made a mistake. It's all good. It was only the first map. This is a best of 5, remember, so I still have 2 more maps. You know, I can still do this. And just let it go, because if he dwells on that sort of mistake, it's really going to impact his game going forward, and I hope we don't see that.
But he did lose the macro map, as mentioned, so he's now going over to a timing map, which is Ohana, which is very focused on 2 base assaults. There are 2 players, 19-year-old and 22 years old. It did adjust.
That one thing, he gave away those Infestors, he aged 3 years. The stress on this man right now.
That's right. As we're ready to jump into map number 2, let's do this then.
And we're loaded up into the game, and now here we have it. Thank you, IWBC. Spawning in the bottom right of Ohana, it is, of course, going to be GL Snute. After a rough start there, he is definitely going to have to fight his way back in here and regain his calm, regain his focus. We'll see if he can manage it, as his opponent, feeling good in the top left, up 1-0 in this series. It is Caronte's Vortix, spawning as the other bug. And there we have him, looking fly, with that red headset. He matches his jersey. This guy, thinking about everything. And there we have it. All right, so these guys looking good. Ohana, as you mentioned, a more aggressive map and a more timing-based map, so we'll see what these guys decide to pull out, seeing as how Snute, there he is, the fine gentleman, scratching his nose. Hopefully he's not too nervous going into this. We'll see what he can decide to show us, seeing as how he definitely displayed some very tight timings yesterday versus Nurchio. So, if managing to beat Nurchio with timings, this is the map to demonstrate that on.
That's right. And getting deeper into this best of 5 every minute that ticks by here, and we have a spawning pool, a 14 spawning pool down here, and a 15 over here. As we're about to develop the story on Ohana, and as mentioned, this is a timing-oriented map, and basically that means within Ohana, the distance between natural to natural is relatively short. You can hide a lot of lings, roaches, and you can just kind of explode and just all of a sudden attack, and your opponent's like, whoa, what's going on? And you can barely have enough time to get spine crawlers in terms of defense, depending on how your lava was spent, whether it's drones or units can, you know, lead to a good defense or an easy defeat. And we'll see how this is going to play out. Gases, when are they going to be taken, are going to be very important here. Or will we just see both the players say, screw it, I'm just going to play the same as I did game number 1, get these queens down. That's the way that Snoop's been playing early on, skipping gas initially and just going straight towards 3 to 4 queens, and then looking to take 2 gases around the 5-minute mark. Vortix surprisingly copied that style in game number 1 here of this best of 5 that he hadn't done throughout the weekend. And we'll see if that's going to happen again here.
Yeah, Vortix definitely demonstrating his versatility. You know, you would think, okay, this is Snoot's build. He's been using it all weekend, and Vortix just busts out the same one. No problem at all for him. But these guys, you know, definitely getting in there, as it would appear that Vortix's drone count is actually a little bit behind on Snoot's. So we'll have to see where he decides to put that extra larva. It looks like they're going to even up now.
Yeah, it was just
it was a precaution.
It was the spawning pool timing that adjusted that just a little bit. One was 14, one was 15. But they end up at the same drone count eventually, just one a little bit more ahead of the other, as neither of them have taken gas yet in this game, as we can notice. So they may be just saying, screw the traditional timing-based play, the early gas, the potential of speedlings, bailing play, and potential roach timings too, as we have Vortix going for his initial 2 lings once again. Nothing made from Snute. Those 2 lings do offer a lot for Vortix if we look back to game number 1, being able to get in there, get a lot of scouting done, check the gas timings of his opponent, and then if he knows exactly what's going on here, then he's going to be able to play like he did previously, get a faster layer, get a better build, little bit of an advantage over his opponent.
And we're still seeing sort of the same thing, seeing as how Vortix did get his 2 gas a little bit earlier. He's got the extra lings, and this is exact. We'll see if Snute is able to deny the scout this time around. He does have 2 queens down on the bottom ramp. Are they going to be able to get them in fast enough? Doesn't look like it. Both of the lings getting right into the base again, and Vortix is now going to see that, okay, he's taking gas, but my gas were quicker than his. So he knows that already he's got a very slight lead on something in this match, and any information at all pays off.
That's right, and we'll see what he's going to do with the information that he's been given now as he starts to bank up his gas.
He gets slightly supply blocked as well, so.
Just a little bit as an Overlord is about to pop. He does throw down a Roach Warren initially here instead of going straight towards Lair. We'll see what that's going to entail, whether he's going to try to build Roaches early on. But his opponent's going to open up Lair first here. So, of course, Snute's going to have a faster Roach speed. And look at this, a fast third base coming down here from Snute. And there is nothing here to actually scout that, unfortunately, for Vortix. He has an Overlord in between the natural and third, but not in the right location to actually see this coming down. So, depending on if Vortix scouts this or not, could give Snute a really strong economy. But like we mentioned, there's a Roach Warren down and Speedlings.
Speed being researched.
We could see a Roach Baneling attack here, a big attack, depending on how Vortix plays this out. Without going Lair, that definitely seems to be the case here. But we do have 2 Spine Crawlers coming down from Snute, who of course is taking a third base. 3 Spine Crawlers coming down.
Yeah, he's really shoring up his defenses right now. But then again, you know, if you get enough units in there, okay, now this is actually the big thing. Can Snute get denied? And yes, he will. He doesn't really see anything. He saw the fake there from actually the fake, but the fake is actually rendered useless, seeing as how Snute can spot that with his Overlord. So, you know, Vortix attempting some mind gains there of his own, but not going to be pulled off as the Queen does spot that Overlord. He knows, okay, well, he saw that I canceled the gas, but he's still going forward with this aggression, cranking out the Roaches and the Lings as well. Speed is about to finish with the Lings, so that's going to be a bit more map control for Vortix, and he is non-stop cranking these out, so he's really looking to hit a pretty solid timing here, although Snute, with his own Roaches, he's plus the 2 Spine Crawlers, should be in a pretty good position to be able to deal with this.
Yeah, he's going to be obviously able to stay in the game, but is he going to lose his third base, which is going to be the question, which is what Vortix is aiming for here with all the Roaches and Lings coming down. A Spine Crawler is being moved in position to that third base. I have a bad feeling here for Vortix. As long as Snute keeps on building units, we'll see. We'll see if he's going to be able to hold this.
He's got quite a few. Okay, we'll see here as the Roaches are moving in. Good concave here for Snute, and transfuses as well from the Queens. The Lings are making the difference, though. They're getting to work, and Vortix still rallying units across the map. This Spine Crawler really doing a lot of damage, though, but it shouldn't be long for this world if Vortix gets what he wants, and he is definitely moving in there. Even a small pack of Roaches to cut off the reinforcements. Very well done here from the Spaniard, and it looks like he's going to take a small advantage here, cleaning up Snute's defensive force, and 22 Lings. It looks like Vortix is actually
Snute
really
just
committing
built
to
9
this.
drones within this. I'm not too sure if that was the right decision there, as he's very high in drones, but very low in units right now. And if this third base goes down, those drones are absolutely useless with 22 Lings about to reinforce this. Snute, why did you drone?
He thought that, I don't know if he fully thought that a little bit of a misread there on his part, thinking that Vortix was just poking forward, trying to do some damage, and would back off. But this is not the case. Vortix really going for this. He's going to take this third base out of the fight, and could even go then to put pressure on the natural and main base as well with all these units.
That's right, and well, here we go as the third base goes down for Vortix, who establishes his own. Snute's going to be hard-pressed to actually defend his natural here as well. Despite having 2 spines, he's going to feel a bit of pressure as Vortix does attack a little bit on the ramp, does back off, does not have Roach speed though, so he's going to have to turn around. There's no reason to actually retreat here.
Looking to back up, buy some time for extra units to get out here. Vortix really hasn't stopped producing units since the start of this aggression, really getting into this as these 4 Roaches will fall. Nice micro there by Snute, pulling that 1 Roach back, and that's the sort of thing you need to see. He needs to make every unit count at this point. And here we have it though. Vortix, he does have some drones on the third base, so he is getting that additional boost to his income, but still cranking out units.
And even if Snute wanted to launch a counterattack, it's not going to work because there's 3 hatcheries down. He's got a third better of a production setup now with the hatchery over his opponent, and immediately gets shut back. Roach speed's not far away from Vortix either. He does have an upgrade coming that will finish before the double evolution chamber of Snute. And unfortunately for Snute here, he is behind in this game, guys. Having lost that third base, Vortix just built a round of 12 drones and will take the income lead as well, and has the freedom to continue to build drones. But I'm looking here at Snute, and he's only building Roaches here. I wonder if he's even going to bother to try and catch up, if he's even going to bother to try to drone towards third base. By the looks of it, he may try to hit a 1-1 timing together, but he is supply blocked a little bit there, as we can see at 116. It's going to slow this down a little bit.
That's exactly it. He's looking to put all of his eggs in a basket. He knows that now his opponent is so far ahead economically that he has to just try and go for it. He has to go for that one blow strike kill and just get in there and try and put an end to it. Although he is setting up defensive positions here, knowing that Vortix has a force of his own, but that 1-1 timing should be pretty good here as the roaches still continue to come in. Vortix, however, has begun producing units as well, and he's taking this fight because he knows he has superior production, and Snute can't afford to give these up, whereas Vortix certainly can. He's not going to stop.
There's a 500 mineral difference between the two players in terms of income. Great micro from Vortix, pulling the low health one back. Remember, he has a +1 attack over 0-0 right now, which is why he's fighting with less units to destroy what Snute has. But even if he pushes back, that's a lot of units he killed off, as 1-1 is near completion now for Snute. Of course, Snute will be able to fight back, but does he even have the numbers? It's 24 roaches in favor of Vortix compared to just 20 right now of Snute, who is only building roaches. He's not looking to drone towards this third base. It's 53 drones to 62 with 3 hatcheries with a better income. Overall, Vortix will keep on overpowering his opponent, and Snute can't do this. He will have a bit of an upgrade advantage, but it doesn't matter here, I don't think. The numbers are going to be too sharply in favor of Vortix here, who has the stronger income. Exactly, with 3 more drones on top of it as well. That's the cherry on the cake.
Yeah, he's like, drones. All right, well, Snute has to produce roaches right now, or I will kill him. What can I do? I'll just make a few more drones, get a bit further ahead. It's all good. He doesn't have to worry about a damn thing at this point. And here we go. He's going to go ahead and take another engagement. Just back right on out. Just making sure that Snute knows, hey, I'm at your front door right now. Don't go producing any kind of drones. Just crank out the roaches. And now Vortix backs off. He's still producing more and more roaches going into this, and his +2 upgrade is about to finish. Snute does have +1, pardon me, to Carapace though,
yeah,
so there is that one armor.
In 30 seconds time, Vortix will have a +2 and take the upgrade lead once again. So this is a very small opportunity for Snute if he's going to do it, but he's got a good position here with his roaches coming from 2 sides, but is it even going to be enough to outnumber the numbers that are in favor of Vortix?
Look at this, Vortix even controlling it, reducing that concave for Snute. Snute trying to get the surround on his opponent. It wasn't going to happen there. Too good control coming out from Vortix, and he's able to snap this up. He is going to get the kills here and clean up all of these roaches nearly.
Yeah, now that +2 is done, he is slaughtering these roaches that try to retreat. And now with the income advantage that Vortix has, he's thrown it into Hydras. Yeah. He's taken his gas on his third base. It's 70 drones to 52, and now all of a sudden, Snute realizes, oh god,
well, I've hit that moment now.
Here are 3 drones coming out from Snute trying to catch back up 5 drones, but now Vortix takes a 4th base. He's 1 step above his opponent, or 1 step ahead of his opponent every single turn here, with the carapace coming down as well. And as soon as his Hydra enters the field and he reaches towards 200 supply, Vortix is going to look to end Snute's game here for sure.
Yeah, he's not going to have to put up with any more problems here. He's just going to remax, get up to that 200 supply, and just crush him. Because right now he's like, okay, I can take a 4th. He can really do anything you want at this point, Vortix. He's in that zone where he's like, I do no wrong. Everything I do is the right decision. And this is going to be so difficult for Snute to come back from, only now getting his Hydra den. So he's going to start, hoping that he has those Hydras out. Vortix is going to hit with this perfect army where he has the +2. He's going to negate the +1 carapace and just crush through. And there's really nothing that Snute can do about it apart from getting a pretty good spread. And he's not opting for infestors, so there's not going to be any fungals out there to try and get units for free. This is really just going to come down to the head-on-head engagement, and Vortix has more damage.
They've got roughly the same amount of roaches here, 30 to 36, but there's 20 Hydras in favor of Vortix. And now as the Hydra range is just completed a few seconds ago, and as we see 200 supply reach for Vortix, maxed out supply, he's going to come down and look for a fight. He will not have the position, he will not have the spread out units. He's trying his best to do that, but at the end of the day, I really don't think it's going to matter here for Snute, who is facing this game.
Look at this. Snute is actually going, this is like, okay, well, go ahead and kill my base. I'm going to send a force. He's looking to cut off reinforcements? No, he's looking to catch him from behind. So Snute going to try and get in on these Hydras from behind with his own roaches, and this is actually a good call by him. If there's no roaches to tank for the Hydras, they will die so very quickly, and Vortix realizing this, remaneuvering his Hydras, trying to get them into a better position, and he has got so much damage now with these Hydras that it just doesn't look like it's possible. Snute trying to pull a big play there, but it's not going to work out in the end. There's just too much damage here for Vortix. The GG is called, and that is it. Vortix up 2-0 in this grand final series.
That's right. One game away from winning himself $15,000, guys. This game, the difference between first and second place is $11,000. $15,000 for first place. Second place is $3,000. It is a best of 5 with Vortix, the Spaniard, winning 2-0, continuing his undefeated, not just in series, but in maps as well. Has not dropped a single map here at the THOR Open, and is looking in convincing fashion to sweep this 3-0 as we move over to Antigua Shipyard, which is now the positional-based map. It's going to be all about the middle of the map, controlling the Zelnoga Tower, and more so important to not make mistakes. As mentioned in the pre-game interview, Snute mentioned that this game, this series, Zerg vs. Zerg, is very unforgiving. If you make a mistake here, you will not regain the center of the map, which becomes very difficult to play against.
Absolutely, and Vortix just proving that he's in the zone. The experience is absolutely paying off here. As we spoke earlier about Vortix's experience traveling nonstop around the world, competing in big tournaments, competing against the best players in the world, and right now you can tell he is not making any mistakes. He is definitely in control and in full confidence of himself and his game going into this. No trouble at all from him. Snute, however, the mistakes are coming. So hopefully we'll see that Snute can actually get things under control and get back focused, as we are now loaded up into the map. And now, starting in the top right, we have our opponent here who's 2-0 in this series so far and looking great. It is, of course, Carante's Vortix. Doing his thing, as we have overlays that are flashing out all over the place. But Vortix, fantastic job so far in this series, doing a great job, 2-0 so far, and just looking so very powerful. It's really going to be difficult for Snute to deal with this should it come to a head, as now we see Snute, Gamers League Snute, doing his thing.
That's right, Gamers League Snute has to fight back from 0-2 within this series. Going to be a very difficult task against a strong competitor such as Vortix from Team Carante. Both of them opening up mirrored so far, and I wouldn't be surprised if that continued through as well. Both of them are displaying kind of their strategy in this game to be evolving a little bit with the patch changes around Infestors. They have shown Infestor use a little bit throughout this tournament, but I think this is a map that we are going to see Infestors. Compared to Daybreak and Ohana, both have a lot of open space within the middle, but as you can see in the Zelnoga Tower space there are 4 ramps which are very much so positionally focused. If you control the high ground, you will have the high ground advantage. You will look down at your opponent, you can spit down on him as he tries to climb to the Zelnoga Tower, and Infestors do help out a lot with that, keeping them in position, and as they clumped up on the ramp, you can maximize damage output from a fungal growth. So I think in this game we will see Infestors come to play.
And we'll see exactly how that does work out, as already we have, a little bit of deviation here, as it would appear that Vortix is going, or pardon me, Snute is going for the pool first into hatchery, as we've seen him be doing these last matches. Vortix, however, is the one who's going to be altering his play going into this. We will see that Vortix is going to get a scout off on this and know exactly what his opponent is up to. However, Vortix getting gas as well as his pool now, so he's really trying to get on top of things here.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous thing to see here from Snute, considering that Vortix has opened up exactly the same as Snute so far, gasless. But now on the deciding map potentially for Vortix, if he was to win on Antigua Shipyard, Snute goes in and sees gas. Now he has to be wondering, why has he taken gas in game number 3 when he is 2-0 ahead compared to game 1 and 2 when he didn't take gas? And the reasoning behind it, he must be thinking at the back of the mind, am I going to be faced with a Ling bailing attack? Am I going to be faced with a Roach bailing attack? Anything along those lines could come out from Vortix here, because he's got 2 comfort games available. He's in gas with all 3 at the moment, as we can see, and we'll be looking to stay in gas with all 3 as well. And it's very possible that Vortix will be trying something aggressive, something risky, considering he has some comfort area for mistakes.
Exactly right, and all the pressure is on Snute now as well. So Vortix, he's got the confidence of being able to lose 2 maps before even tying up the series, letting alone losing the series. So he can take these kinds of risks and move forward with some aggressive forms of play, as Snute is the one who's going to have all the pressure in the world on his shoulders trying to deal with this, trying to defend it. Although Snute, will he be able to pick up this drone? It looks like he's trying to get it, and it will not happen. Another one may live if Vortix can control it. He's going to make it to the extractor. Not in time, so Snute getting a small win there going forward. Trading these 50 minerals for Lings for a drone is a great victory for him starting things off. But in the meantime, Snute was able to get in here with his Overlord and spot the Baneling nest. So he knows exactly what Snute is up, or pardon me, Vortix is up to now. knowing that there is an aggressive play coming out, he immediately drops both of his gas and starts preparing with a spine crawler.
That's right. So unfortunately for Vortix, that was kind of discovered very easily from an overlord that wasn't really looking to do anything there. It was just kind of given as information. But Vortix is going to go for it. 14 lings on the way. He's testing Snute's defense. He says, great, you've got a good build. It gets you into the mid game very strongly with a good economy. But is it good enough to defend against a Ling Bailing attack? Is the question that Vortix is asking. And if Snute cannot answer, then Vortix will walk away with $15,000. And we're about to find out as 5 Bailings are being morphed. 6 more Lings are on the way as well from the main hatchery. And is Snute going to be able to defend it? He doesn't have any overlords in the middle either to actually see the amount of units coming. Is the defense going to be good enough?
This is the question. He has all 3 queens down, a Roach Warren spawning that's going to be blocking off the ramp a little bit here. Already, all of his Lings going for free. 1 Baneling already taking out all of Snute's Lings, and this is catastrophic. Now we have the queens that will be falling shortly as well as the drones. The damage done is monstrous, and Vortix is now in the main mineral line with a handful of Lings, and this is a catastrophe. Snute just may well have lost it here. He's done so much damage right now, Vortix that is.
I wouldn't go so far as losing it. I mean, right now we have a 4 drone difference between the 2 players. When you go for a Ling Bailing attack, you do cut down a lot on drones. There are roaches out now as well. Depending on how many drones these Lings kill, it's not too bad. Snute has an advantage. He has a layer down as well. He's going to have roach speed. He's going to have infestors out. So that was an okay defense there. Yes, he did lose 13 drones, but how many drones did he have out there initially?
Kind of curious actually about the loss there, but yeah, so far actually 13 drones killed for Snute. Vortix the one playing catch up, it would appear, and now Snute is actually moving forward with some roaches of his own. He's going to be laying down some damage, and we'll see if actually Vortix is the one who can hold. He does have a Roach Warren on the way now. He has a handful of Lings, so he should be able to mount a proper defense. It shouldn't be too much of an issue going forward here for him.
All right, so as the roaches push their way across there just to threaten more Lings out, which slows down the drone count. Oh my god, it's down to 29 for Vortix now compared to Snute, who's up at a healthy 39. Really good defense, and then equally pushing out with those roaches, slowing down Vortix a lot. Gonna take a third. These Lings can kill these roaches if they're caught in the open. He's going to have to be careful. Where are the other roaches to support them? And it looks like with 2 queens and 2 roaches, it should be enough, and yes, it is enough. Good transfuse
well,
there too, but that third base that Vortix sees from Snute is not going to be a happy third base to be seen, as he's very far behind in terms of the layer now. Does have a +1 over his opponent though. That is something he does have.
And he does, yeah. So now the third base is down for Snute, and he is going to be looking fairly good here as Vortix is kind of just doing something with these Lings. He's trying to look for some advantage out of them. Looks like he's going to go for a run by, and he should be able to make it into the main base. No wall there to stop him, and he runs right on in. There are a couple roaches here, so their damage can't be too bad, but already if he manages to pick off a queen, that's a pretty big blow. Trying to go for some drones as well. It's not going to happen. The roaches are here to defend it now, and he is just looking to control them as best as possible, keep them alive as long as possible, and he's already getting a good view of the count here for Snute as well, seeing how many roaches he has out on the map and what he has to do with them.
Only 1 drone killed so far though with these Lings. The second one does go down, and that's about it, unfortunately. No, a couple more, sorry, so he does get 3 drones with that, but still 3 drones for those Lings.
And a queen.
Not the best kill off there, and a queen too, but looking at this right now with 2 queens about to pop out, that hardly affects Snute here, as this third base is down so incredibly fast. He's got double evolution chamber. Vortix, it's hard slammed at the moment. Infestation pit coming down as well in the main base. A Spore just in case of muta play coming out because the third base was so incredibly late. And now Snute with his speed advantage here. Can he use it to jolt in and jolt out, pick off the third and get out? And he's not going to... Oh, he's actually going to turn around and fight these roaches. I guess he can since there's not that many.
Yeah, and it looks like Vortix is trying to make his way back up to the high ground. Snute is in a great position to deny this, and Vortix still trying to get in here to have a say in it, trying to get in there to deny it, but it's not going to happen. He does get the cancel at least, so it was not sniped off. And now actually Snute getting caught up here, not able to walk out with his roaches. Vortix rallying more roaches in, and it looks like he's going to be able to get all of these roaches actually for free pretty much. The cancel in the third, so these roaches did delay that. And Snute, in the meantime, has still been producing units, but this is actually not too bad for Vortix, able to get an entire group of roaches for nothing. And now, actually, look at this, a bit of a change, something we don't see too often.
Yeah, Nida Swim coming in play here from Vortix, realizing that he is playing from behind in this game. Going to see if he can alternate that and get it into the main base hit. Looking to get it within the smoke. kind of go past the defenses that are being set up on the center ground here. We have 4 spines coming down as the transition over to Infestors is about to begin, and the Nidus Swim is coming down. Is this going to work for Vortix? Is he going to be able to win with this kind of maneuver? Right now, the Roach count is 14 to 19 in favor of Vortix.
Snute doesn't know. Snute doesn't know? Does he hear it?
No, he's got no idea.
He hasn't rallied
actually
units?
Pops out, so now he does.
Oh, and he smiles. Snute smiles. He sees it. He's like, oh no, you dirty dog. Vortix getting in here with the Roaches. He's got a good position now, but however, the damage done still inconclusive as we are watching more and more units getting rallied in, pulling the Queens as well to get in here. More Roaches coming. Snute's in a good position. And for the time being, this is looking fairly even, although Vortix desperately has to get more and more units in here. The +1 attack, and he's getting Roaches. Oh, he's getting drones as well.
Yeah.
This is brutal.
This is a bad way to lose the game, considering he was behind for the majority of it. One little maneuver by just kind of skipping. Just kind of saying, all right, defense is set in the middle, good. You got up to the base, good. You drawn in, good. I'm going to go in your main, I got a Nidus. And that's exactly what happened here. Spine comes down, look at Snoot's realizing how the hell did he get in there? And Snute drops down to 60 supplies, lost 15 drones. More and more Roaches are coming in. It's 17 in favor of 9 here, despite the double evolution chamber coming down.
And now more and more coming in.
Magnificent play from Vortix. What a great backstab this was.
He has to kill the Roaches. They're going to get the Nidus. The Nidus does go down, but at this point, he's got so many Roaches in here, he's definitely going to claim the main and any kind of tech that's in it. And this is brutal. Vortix throwing a curveball, and Snute not able to adjust in time.
Oh, this sucks as another Nidus is coming down, and if he tries to go for it, then obviously he's going to lose it. GG.
GG is called.
Snute, unfortunately, doesn't be able to keep up with Vortix, who turns that game around with one decisive decision, one decisive blow. And there we have it, a 3-0 in the THOR Open Grand Finals in a game which Vortix basically didn't have. It was taken away, and then all of a sudden, Snute had a lead, and then it was given back. And Snute, well, Vortix, congratulations on that 3-0. Magnificent play in that final game, playing from behind, realizing that, you know, he can't fight in a direct fight because he is behind. There's 1-1 about to finish down. The Spine's finishing down. Infestors coming down as well. He didn't have a third base. He's like, well, right now, I only have one option to win the game, one option alone, and that was it. And that was the right decision, and it was a tournament, should I say, tournament winning decision.
He's going home now with $15,000. It's going to be a great Christmas for him. You know, going home, he's claimed a title here for Vortix, so he has won the very first THOR Open here in Sweden. And with a curveball, with a play like that as well, it takes massive balls to see the only option that's left to you and be able to execute it, just to keep your cool and not stress out and just be like, well, you know, take some kind of risky play and maybe it doesn't work, and then all of a sudden, well, okay, I'm out of the tournament, but I'm not out of the tournament. I've only lost the first map. So what? It's all good. Instead, he turns it around for himself. He turns it around and gets the win against Snute. A clear, resounding 3-0 win. It is a shame to see Snute go out so close to the end, so close to the goal. His first title here in Scandinavia would have been home territory, but it's not meant to be. He wasn't able to close it out. Still walking away with $3 grand, though.
Well, yeah, $3 a lot of money. 15 is more for Vortix here, who's clamped down his first StarCraft 2 tournament victory. He's had a lot of great results throughout his career, a 3rd and 4th place 2 times at the Intel Extreme Masters, but now has his first place victory and a $15,000 paycheck. And we will be having an interview very shortly with Vortix, who's making his way through the crowds of fangirls he has to fight to get in here. And when he arrives, Too Good will be conducting that, as I can see in the corner of my eye that he has arrived. As we get him set up with a microphone, we will conduct that winner's interview. It's going to be a good one for sure, and I very much so enjoyed this finals, despite, you know, Snute falling down 0-3. Of course, nobody wants to see a 3-0, but the sheer quality of Vortix is playing game 1, 2, and then coming from behind and playing that Nidus Swim in game number 3 was great.
No, keeping control through and through. But guys, we are ready for the interview now, so we're going to hear what the champion has to say with James.